First contact deception. The massive Zarian flagship Eternal Dominion slipped into Earth's orbit with the silent grace of a predator. Its crystalline surface refracted sunlight in dazzling patterns across the void of space. Behind it, 5 smaller vessels moved in perfect formation, their engines pulsing with a blue-white energy unknown to most species in the galaxy. High Marshal Krex stood on the command deck, his iridescent scales shifting from deep purple to emerald as he studied the blue planet below. His thin lips curled into what passed for a smile among the Zarians. "Primitive," he said, gesturing toward Earth with one of his 4 slender arms. "Our intelligence suggests they've barely achieved rudimentary space travel. They will be grateful for our guidance." Science Director Vela nodded, her eyes, all 6 of them, blinking in rapid succession as she reviewed data on her neural interface. Their technology appears to be at least 3 centuries behind ours. They still rely primarily on combustion engines and silicon-based computing. "Perfect," Krex purred. "Another easy acquisition for the collective. Prepare the diplomatic party. Let's show these humans just enough of our capabilities to instill the proper respect." The Zarian protocol for integrating new species into their collective was well established. Arrive with overwhelming technological displays, offer protection and technological gifts with hidden dependencies, and gradually assert control over the species' resources and autonomy. They had done this successfully with 17 other civilizations across the galaxy. "High Marshal," the communications officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the planet's surface." Krex tilted his head in surprise. Their intelligence suggested Earth's detection capabilities wouldn't notice their arrival until they chose to reveal themselves. "Put it through," he ordered. The main view screen illuminated with the image of a human female in a dark blue uniform adorned with insignia Krex didn't recognize. Her expression was calm, measured, and betrayed no sign of the awe or fear the Zarians typically encountered during first contact scenarios. "This is Commander Ilara Chen of Earth's United Defense Forces," she said. "Your vessels have entered restricted space without authorization. State your identity and purpose immediately." Krex recovered quickly from his surprise, spreading his arms in the Zarian gesture of peaceful intention. "I am High Marshal Krex of the Zarian Collective. We come with goodwill to welcome humanity into the galactic community. We bring gifts of knowledge and technology to assist your species' development." Commander Chen's expression remained unchanged. "We appreciate your stated intentions, High Marshal. We propose a meeting to discuss diplomatic relations. We've prepared coordinates for a rendezvous point in neutral space." "Neutral space," Krex said, unable to hide his confusion. "We would be honored to host you aboard our vessel, or to visit your planet's surface." "That won't be necessary," Chen replied. "The coordinates have been transmitted to your vessel. We will meet in 12 Earth hours." Chen out. The screen went dark, leaving Krex and his officers staring at each other in bewilderment. "Most unusual," Vela observed. "Their response lacks the typical patterns of a first contact scenario." Krex's scales darkened with concern. "Check the coordinates they sent, and enhance our scans of the planet. I want to know what we're missing." 12 hours later, the Zarian diplomatic shuttle approached the designated coordinates, a point in space roughly halfway between Earth and its moon. As they neared the location, their sensors detected a structure that hadn't been visible before. "It appears to be a space station," the pilot reported, "but our scans can't penetrate its outer hull." The structure was elegant in its simplicity, a sleek, cylindrical design with no visible weapons or defensive systems. It floated serenely against the backdrop of Earth, rotating slowly on its axis. "Curious," Krex muttered. Their intelligence report mentioned nothing about permanent orbital structures of this size. The shuttle docked with the station through an airlock system, compatible with almost any known spacecraft design. Another surprise. As the Zarian delegation of 5 officers, led by Krex, stepped through the airlock, they found themselves in a spacious chamber with walls of a material that appeared to be metal but felt warm to the touch. Commander Chen stood waiting with 4 other humans, all wearing the same dark blue uniforms. Behind them, a large window offered a breathtaking view of Earth. "Welcome to Station Threshold," Chen said, stepping forward. "We hope your journey was comfortable." Krex performed the Zarian greeting gesture, bowing slightly while touching his primary right hand to his chest. "Commander Chen, we are honored by your hospitality. Allow me to present my delegation." After introductions were complete, Chen led them to a conference room where refreshments had been prepared, including some specifically formulated for Zarian physiology. Krex paused before taking his seat. "You seem remarkably well prepared for our arrival, Commander. And I must admit, we are surprised by your technological capabilities. Our intelligence suggested that we were confined to our planet with primitive technology." Chen finished for him, a slight smile appearing for the first time. "Yes, we've worked very hard to maintain that impression." The room fell silent as the implications of her statement registered with the Zarian delegation. "I don't understand," Vela said, her scales shifting to a pale yellow, the Zarian indication of confusion. Chen gestured to one of her officers, who activated a holographic display in the center of the conference table. A 3-dimensional image appeared showing the Zarian flagship and its escort vessels. "Your ships are impressive," Chen acknowledged. "The crystalline lattice of your hull material is particularly interesting. It allows for impressive energy distribution and computational capabilities built directly into the structure itself." Krex stiffened. That was classified information about Zarian vessel design that only the most advanced civilizations should have been able to detect. "How do you?" "We've been observing Zarian vessels for approximately 75 Earth years," another human officer interjected. "Admiral Jackson Tate, Intelligence Division," he added by way of introduction. "Impossible," Vela blurted out. "The collective has only been exploring this sector for 30 years. "Officially, perhaps," Tate said with a knowing look. "But we detected your scout ships long before that." Krex felt his primary heart beating faster. This meeting was not proceeding according to any first contact protocol he had ever experienced. These humans spoke as equals, or worse, as though they had some advantage the Zarians couldn't perceive. "I believe we should be direct with each other," Chen said, leaning forward. "We know the Zarian Collective's standard procedure for integrating new species. We've witnessed what happened to the Veldorians and the Procyon systems. Your offers of technology come with hidden dependencies, and your protection quickly becomes control." Krex's scales darkened to a deep crimson. "You presume much, Commander. We come with peaceful intentions." "Let me show you something, High Marshal," Chen interrupted, nodding to her officers. The view screen on the wall activated, showing an image of Earth from orbit. At first, nothing seemed unusual, but then the image shifted as though filters were being removed. Suddenly, dozens, no, hundreds, of structures became visible in Earth orbit. Some were clearly defensive platforms, others appeared to be shipyards, and still others defied easy classification. "What you're seeing now is Earth's actual orbital infrastructure," Chen explained. "We've developed quantum camouflage technology that renders our installations undetectable to conventional sensors." As Krex and his delegation watched in stunned silence, the image zoomed out further to reveal massive vessels emerging from concealed positions behind Earth's moon and in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. These ships dwarfed the Zarian vessels, their designs unlike anything in the Collective's database. "The Hyperion-class dreadnoughts," Chen said with unmistakable pride. "Just one of many vessel classes in Earth's defense fleet." Krex felt the diplomatic situation slipping away from him completely. This was no primitive species ripe for subjugation. These humans had been watching, learning, and preparing for decades. "Why the deception?" he finally managed to ask. "If you possess such technology, why hide it from the galaxy?" Chen's expression hardened. "Because we've seen what happens to species that attract the attention of powers like the Zarian Collective before they're ready. We chose a different path, to appear harmless while building our strength in secret." "What do you want from us?" Krex asked, all pretense of diplomatic superiority now abandoned. A genuine alliance, Chen replied. Not subjugation disguised as protection. Earth is willing to engage with the galactic community, but as equals, not subjects. We've prepared a treaty proposal that outlines fair trade relations and mutual defense agreements. The holographic display changed to show a complex document written in both Earth standard language and, remarkably, perfect Zerian script. How should I interpret this? Krex asked, his voice barely above a whisper. As an offer or a threat? Commander Chen's expression softened slightly. Neither, High Marshal. Consider it an opportunity. A chance for the Zerian collective to gain a true ally rather than another unwilling subject. The choice, however, is yours. The implication was clear. The humans were prepared for either outcome. Krex looked back at the display showing Earth's hidden fleet, vessels that could have destroyed his ships at any moment since their arrival. For the first time in his long career as a Zerian diplomat, he found himself genuinely negotiating rather than manipulating. I believe, he said slowly, that the Collective's Council will be very interested in discussing this treaty. As he said the words, he couldn't help but wonder how many other primitive species might be hiding similar surprises throughout the galaxy. Perhaps it was time for the Zerian Collective to reconsider its approach to galactic diplomacy. The reckoning. The Zerian Collective's response came swiftly. 3 days after High Marshal Krex returned to the Eternal Dominion with Earth's treaty proposal, 17 additional Zerian warships appeared at the edge of the solar system. They emerged from faster-than-light travel in perfect formation, their crystalline hulls gleaming like a constellation of artificial stars. In the command center beneath Mount Olympus on Mars, Commander Ilara Chen watched the tactical display with Admiral Tate at her side. The underground facility, carved into the Martian bedrock decades ago, served as the strategic heart of Earth's defense network. They've rejected our proposal, Tate observed grimly. Chen nodded. As expected, the collective has never accepted any species as equals. Their entire economic and social structure depends on the resources they extract from subjugated worlds. The massive view screen showed the Zerian reinforcements moving into position, forming a classic encirclement pattern used by the collective in previous conquests. They still haven't detected our quantum-shielded assets, reported Strategic Operations Officer Maya Patel, her fingers dancing across holographic controls. Our stealth platforms are tracking 18 Zerian vessels total. And our Veldorian guests? Chen asked. Ambassador Therill is standing by in the diplomatic chamber, Patel confirmed. Chen straightened her uniform. Time to implement contingency Artemis. Aboard the Eternal Dominion, High Marshal Krex faced the holographic projections of the Zerian High Council. 7 ancient Zerians whose scales had faded to pale white with age. You were deceived, Supreme Counselor next stated flatly. These humans have clearly been developing military technology in secret for decades. Yes, Supreme Counselor, Krex acknowledged. Their capabilities far exceed our intelligence estimates. The question remains, another counselor interjected, how did they hide from our observation networks for so long? No species has ever detected our stealth scouts before. Krex hesitated. They claim to have developed quantum camouflage technology. A ripple of agitation moved through the council. Quantum camouflage was theoretical even to the Zerians, a technology they had been researching without success for over a century. Impossible, Supreme Counselor next declared. They must have acquired this technology from another source, perhaps the archivists. Supreme Counselor, the communications officer interrupted urgently. We're detecting an energy surge from Earth's moon. Before Krex could respond, the tactical display erupted with warnings. What had appeared to be a barren section of lunar surface was transforming. Massive doors were opening, revealing a cavernous shipyard hidden beneath the regolith. From within this concealed facility, vessels of various sizes emerged, dozens at first, then hundreds. How did we not detect this? Krex demanded. Unknown, High Marshal, the science officer replied. Their cloaking technology appears to operate on principles we don't fully understand. As the Zarians watched in growing alarm, the human vessels moved with precision and coordination that spoke of extensive training and preparation. They formed defensive layers around Earth, while another group moved to protect Mars. "High Marshal," the communications officer called out. "We're receiving a transmission from the humans." The main view screen activated to show Commander Chen, now dressed in what appeared to be combat armor. Behind her stood Admiral Tate and another figure, not human, but unmistakably Veldorian. Krex's scales paled. "Ambassador Therill," he breathed, recognizing the Veldorian diplomat, whose people had been among the first to fall to the Collective's protection. "High Marshal Krex," Chen began, "I see the Collective has made its decision. We had hoped for peaceful cooperation, but we are prepared for the alternative. You harbor fugitives from Collective justice," Krex accused, pointing at the Veldorian. Ambassador Therill stepped forward. "I represent the Free Veldorian Coalition, High Marshal. Earth has granted us asylum and partnership, something your Collective promised but never delivered. You should know," Chen continued, "that Earth has established similar relationships with 4 other species the Collective attempted to subjugate. We've been building these alliances for decades while you believed us isolated and ignorant." Krex felt the situation spiraling further out of control. The strategic implications were staggering. If humans had allied with multiple species and shared their advanced technology, "This is your final opportunity, High Marshal," Chen said firmly. "Withdraw your forces from our solar system and return to the Collective with our original proposal. We still prefer peace, but make no mistake, we are prepared for war. You cannot hope to stand against the full might of the Zarian Collective," Krex responded, though his confidence was rapidly eroding. Chen's expression remained impassive. "We don't have to defeat your entire Collective, High Marshal. We just need to make the cost of subjugating Earth too high to bear." The transmission ended, leaving Krex facing the troubled expressions of his officers and the increasingly agitated council members. "Prepare for engagement," Supreme Counselor Nex ordered. "The humans must be taught the consequences of defiance." On Earth's moon, in the command center of the hidden base designated Artemis Prime, Commander Chen turned to Ambassador Therill after ending the transmission. "They'll attack within the hour," she predicted. "The Collective can't afford to show weakness by retreating." The Veldorian nodded, his translucent skin rippling with bioluminescent patterns expressing concern. "The Zarians never retreat, Commander. It's not in their philosophy." "Then we proceed as planned," Chen said, turning to Admiral Tate. "Activate the Orpheus Protocol." Tate pressed his palm against a biometric scanner. Orpheus Protocol authorized. Throughout the solar system, previously dormant systems activated. Hundreds of small, sleek devices, each no larger than a human hand, detached from their hiding places on asteroids, orbital debris, and even the surface of Mars. These devices accelerated rapidly, their advanced propulsion systems leaving no heat signature or other traceable emissions. On the tactical display, Chen watched as the swarm of devices approached the Zarian fleet. Each carried a specially designed quantum disruptor, technology developed by human scientists working alongside Veldorian physicists. The disruptors were calibrated to the specific frequency of Zarian crystalline technology, designed not to destroy but to temporarily disable. "Disruptors in position," reported Officer Patel. "Awaiting your command." Chen exchanged glances with Ambassador Therill, who gave the subtle head tilt that signified Veldorian agreement. "Initiate Orpheus," she ordered. Across the void of space, the disruptors activated simultaneously. There was no visible beam, no explosive force, just a precisely modulated quantum field that interfered with the crystalline molecular structure of Zarian technology. The effect was immediate. Aboard the Zarian vessels, systems began shutting down. The beautiful crystalline hulls, which served as both structure and integrated computational networks, flickered and dimmed. Propulsion, weapons, and communications failed in cascading sequence. Status of Zarian fleet. Chen asked. All 18 vessels affected, Commander. Patel confirmed. They're operating on emergency systems only. Chen nodded to the communications officer. Hail the Eternal Dominion. When Krex's face appeared on the view screen, the High Marshal's scales had darkened to a deep blue, the Zarian expression of shock and dismay. What have you done? He demanded. Demonstrated a fraction of our capabilities. Chen replied calmly. Your ship's primary systems have been temporarily disabled. We could have destroyed them. But that was never our intention. Behind Krex, Zarian officers worked frantically at their stations, trying to restore power to critical systems. The effect is temporary, Chen continued. Full functionality will return in approximately 6 hours. By then, I expect you to be well on your way out of our solar system. Krex's expression shifted from shock to a grudging respect. And if we refuse? If we call for more ships? Chen allowed herself a small smile. High Marshal, you should know that we've been monitoring your quantum communication network for decades. We're already broadcasting our defensive capabilities to every major world in the collective. The Zarian people will know that the High Council's policy of subjugation has finally met its match. The revelation struck Krex like a physical blow. If humans could access the supposedly impenetrable quantum network, the strategic implications were catastrophic. You leave us no choice, he finally said. On the contrary, Chen corrected him. We're giving you the choice the collective never gave others. Withdraw and return with genuine peace proposals, or face the consequences of continued aggression. Ambassador Therill stepped forward again. The Free Veldorian Coalition stands with Earth, High Marshal, as do the Proteans, the Tauri Confederation, and others who have suffered under collective rule. This is not just humanity's stand. It is the beginning of a new coalition of truly free worlds. The meaning was clear. The balance of power in the galaxy was shifting. The Zarian collective's centuries of unchallenged expansion had come to an end. 3 months later, Commander Ilara Chen stood in the Grand Chamber of Station Threshold, now expanded to serve as Earth's primary diplomatic hub. Before her, representatives from 27 species gathered for the formal signing of the Threshold Accords, a new framework for galactic cooperation based on mutual respect and true alliance. Among them, wearing the formal white robes of a Zarian diplomat, stood Krex, no longer High Marshal but now Special Envoy to the newly formed Galactic Cooperative. I never thought I would see this day, he admitted quietly as he approached Chen before the ceremony. When we arrived at Earth, we believed we were bringing the galaxy to you. Chen smiled. Instead, you found we'd already been reaching for the stars in our own way. The High Council still doesn't fully understand how you achieved so much in secret, Krex said. Perhaps that's the greatest lesson the collective needed to learn, Chen replied. True strength isn't always visible. Sometimes, the most powerful forces in the universe are those you never see coming. As the ceremony began and representatives from worlds across the galaxy took their places, Chen reflected on humanity's long, secret journey to this moment. Decades of watching, learning, and preparing, all while presenting a carefully crafted image of technological backwardness to the galaxy at large. The Zarians had arrived expecting to find an impressed, grateful primitive species. Instead, they discovered that humanity had been quietly building not just a fleet, but a vision for a different kind of galactic community, one where strength was measured not by domination but by cooperation. And as Earth took its place among the stars, it did so not as another conquered world, but as the architect of a new galactic order.